Three, two, one. Hey, welcome to our first ever episode of Riding on Time, a journey through many eras of music and what those music signified this era. I'm Andrew, your makeshift DJ for today, and in this show we are going to study the history through the lenses of music that represents the decade, and maybe just understand what the fuss was all about. Or if you're in just for some good music, you're in the right place as well. So let's just take a seat, spare ourselves a few minutes of time, or hour, depends on how enthusiastic we get. Lay back, ride on the waves, and enjoy this epic journey in time through the eras of Japanese music, since the 80s all the way to the modern day. And oh, someone hold the brakes. Before we start, let me introduce a special guest we have today, the audio engineer behind the production of many SCUs, musicals, and plays, a massive audiophile, and a good friend of mine, Luke. Hey, how you doing?
Hey guys, I only did one play at SCU, for
Oh,
obvious reasons. Quarantine has put a damper on it, but don't worry, I've had years and years of experience behind the booth or behind the soundboard, to be more precise. So I
yeah,
can
yeah.
tell you all you need to know about that kind of thing.
So we have the professional over here. I'm just like a random person. Now we have a professional, so immediately makes me more trustworthy. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
reputation by proxy, my
yes,
favorite.
ethos. We need all the ethos. Wait, no, forget about it. Great. So without any further ado, let's start with our first song. We are starting very strong today. The first song is the very song that inspired the entire name of our show. Let's begin with my absolute favorite, all the way back from the 1980. Right on Time by the city pop legend himself, Tatsuro Yamashita.
青い水平線を今駆け抜けてく研ぎ澄まされた時の流れ感じてよときめきへと動き出す世界は忘れかけてた遠い夢の訪れ Right on time サバイブ思いなら優しく受け止めてそっと包んで Alright on time 心に火をつけ
Oh man.
Yeah.
This song just hits different, doesn't it? No matter how
Oh,
many.
pack your bags. That's as good as it gets.
Yep.
At
No matter.
least in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. No matter how many times you listen to it, which cover you listen to it, whoever's singing it. Ah, man. It's just the best, isn't it? Oh.
Real amazing song, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something I would like to talk about a song first of all. Probably it's just the overall feel and atmosphere to it. I just remember one time we were chatting and you said that the album of the era in Japan like usually start with a specific theme and work around the theme to create a coherent album. This is definitely the case. This was a different
Exactly,
time
yeah.
of album, are still albums. Like, albums are still
Certainly,
mainstream. It's,
certainly, yeah. Well, it was a different time for Japan. Obviously, the 1980s was the core years, the core decade of the
yeah,
bubble economy.
yeah.
So people had lots and lots of money to throw at art
Mm.
projects. And then, music wasn't just the only thing, though we definitely get to experience
We
the
get
fruits
the
of that
best of the
nowadays.
best. Yes. You know, we'll talk about that later. So let's just talk about a song now. Come on. The boring stuff comes later. We talk about a song. That's the important part.
Yeah.
The
Well,
album, like,
Tatsuda Yamashita is uh, a legend, not just amongst city pop enthusiasts nowadays, but throughout Japan's pop music scene back in the day. But even today, he still produces stuff.
yeah.
A lot of people call him the Japanese Jay-Z, with how many times he's been on the back of people's albums.
Yeah, it's definitely that just feels right. And the idea of you
Hmm.
having like that full album, you listen to it, have 40 minutes, sit down, listen to everything, the satisfaction is through the roof. It's definitely through the roof. It's just
Exactly.
super laid back, easy listening, and it just meticulously crafted for a good time, these kind of albums.
Exactly. And I gush about the production because the production is, well, immaculate, especially for the time, right? This is
Hmm.
over 40 years ago now, compared to some of the stuff being put out in other countries. Uh, the sampling is just cleaner. The recording is pristine. So much about it is great, but really, all of that tech doesn't really get you anywhere unless you got the skills to back it up. And certainly
Yeah.
Tuts that can back those those assets up.
The tech, like, the tech wonderland Japan, that 80s Japan. Basically, you got
Mhm.
everything, eh? The rhythm of the song, let's just talk about it. It just has such a simple, catchy, and very, excuse me for my unprofessional word over here, just a cruising feeling. Each drum beat feels perfect, yet another stride for another perfect seaside jog, and the entire music composition, it's silky smooth with the proper timing on the bridge and the grand reveal of the chorus with that, like that just I'm lost. I'm almost lost of word right here. Can the music more? Like, can music be any more satisfying than this? I just want to put a question out here. Can it be more satisfying than this?
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a song more satisfying than this one in
Oh,
particular, at
yeah.
least in my opinion, but perhaps I'm a little biased. It's
Mm, we are both, but,
a real great song.
embrace that. Let's embrace that. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah. Pop music is like a steak. It doesn't exactly need super complex ingredients or exotic flavors,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all about taking simple constituent parts, right? With steak, it's
Mm.
just the meat, salt, and pepper, and putting it
Uh,
together in the perfect way to
mm-mm.
make a beautiful work of art.
Yeah. And let's talk about a palette of instruments, shall we? Like, I gotta say before we start, there's really not any sight of the traditional Japanese instruments over here, right? The music just feels
Yeah,
very heavily reminiscent of the 60s and 70s foreign funk music, you know?
yeah, you actually bring up a good point. A lot of music in this era is or takes inspiration from soul and R&B music from
Hmm.
America during the late 60s and the 70s. And I think a lot of that just has to do with, for one, these artists' personal connections to American music growing
Mm-hmm.
up, but also Japan's connection to the U.S. following World War II. Obviously,
Yeah.
the economic miracle that happened in Japan after the Second World War meant that the two nations are very closely tied together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then can we just talk about for 1 minute the sax? Oh man, the sax is beautiful. The
Of
sax is just like
course, yeah.
it can ascend me into another dimension. Well,
No
depression.
80s song is complete, not just with a healthy dose of sax, but an even healthier dose of reverb. And you can
Yeah.
tell that in every single instrument and in the vocals. And you know what? I love it. Might
You
be
know,
a little too tacky for some people nowadays, but you
nah,
know,
just shove cheese in my face because depression, you got nothing on me because I have city pop. Oh man, this
exactly.
song is just such a good representation of the early 80s in Japan. You know, it's such a time where the economy is good, when everything is just plain sailing and moving forward and very rapidly, if I want to say it myself. And you get the feeling of, they are not really so much looking back to where they went and have the blind trust in the future of everything just gonna be all right and gonna be better than before. It's the start of the 80s. The economy is about to blow up. The general vibes in the society is so positive. Everybody is enjoying the glamour and the present rather than, well, just anything else actually. The Western choice of instrument, I think it can show how Japan is a powerhouse of a country that's just, begin to have like their westernization and the economic like miracle you were talking about. Or, basically of anything really. Just, we have to say the old saying goes, "Oh, out with the old, in with the new," and that is certainly the case and the model of the Japanese music in the 80s. Not saying it's bad, but Japan is such good, just basically they're perfect at doing the polishing work and then just make the Western ideas even better, you know?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh man, I cannot get enough of the 80s, right? What about an encore? Let's do something that Luke brought up. This is actually not a full song, but more of a prelude of like a album. It's like basically the setting of the scene for the album. And now let's just take lay back and dive into the snippet of this 80s. This is just basically 80s in music form. This is Way to the Shore from the album See as a Lady by Toshiki Kadomatsu. Oh wow. Well, I really want to go on, but we don't have much more time, so we sort of have just to settle for that minute of just absolute perfection. So, do you want to talk more about this one? I think you're the expert on this one, I guess.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tunes to use as an example when introducing people to city pop, because it's
Mm.
just pure ambiance, if you will. It's distilling sort of all of the sounds, all of the feelings of sort of what Tashiki Karamatsu wants to put forward without even using any lyrics, without using the traditional structure of a pop song. Because what he's doing, right? This is the introductory number, if you will, of the album, and it's setting up the tone, it's setting up the leitmotifs that are used throughout the album. And in a sense, it's kind of like the opening number to a musical. If you've seen Beauty and the Beast, for example, um, when they
Mm.
sing about that small provincial town. They sing about the people there. They establish sort of what the musical is going to be about. What the characters are about, and what the um, overall tone of the movie is. And
Mm.
in a sense, Karamatsu captures that perfectly in that minute and a half of just instrumentation. The
Mm.
vocals themselves aren't even necessarily vocals. They've been, at least by the standards of the '80s, processed so much that they
Yeah.
kind of just sit there in the mix and act as
It's an
sort of a
instrument.
instrument themselves. Yeah, that harmony, the reverb, try to give it this sort of heavenly feel to it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I can definitely feel that kind of idea where this is the time where the Japanese artists really have an idea of what they want for their album. And that really shows. It just shows that, a prosperous economy, a booming economy, not just regular good, is really good for art. People can really spend their time and enjoy and, create art when the economy just good. Just everything's so artistically laid out, and it just have that feel of the driving in the open sunset road. That kind of feeling, that's irreplaceable. Just
Exactly.
downright irreplaceable. Oh man.
Hmm.
Although I really want to be, still in the '80s music forever, but that don't mean we'll even be writing on time, but more sitting still on time. So we're gonna go to the '90s. Pardon me for my weird decision, but a song I would like to pick is from the tail end of the '90s, actually, and I feel it's a song that is, still incredibly '90s in Japan. It really makes you feel that entirety Japan is fallen into love or something. So now we are gonna play "I Wish" by Komi Hirose. Let's take a listen.
時間よ止まって I wish 私だけを見て I wish はじける雪はまるでコンペイトみたいに光る夢冷たい人の波悲しいニュースばかり迷路の世の中抜けてきらめく明日へ滑り出しましょう流れ星のようにすれ違ってた昨日も今日から折々言う未来につながってる一つずつあなたを知ってく On my way from you 幸せにしてあげるそばにいてね I will今のままでいい I wish もっと恋させて I wish 積もった愛をまるで雪だるまみたいに転がして夕焼けの心だって夕立ちの涙だって私が守ってあげる揺らめいて消える淡い影のように忘れさせてあげる傷
All right. That was I Wish by Komi Hirose. Oh man.
Yeah, another great song.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't want to stop. YouTube, you don't want to stop? Let's stop.
There we go. No
There we go.
problem.
Well, let's talk about his song, man. It just feels so soft and to my knowledge, the love songs in Japan is incredibly popular in the 90s. Because I want to say I'm not 100% sure, but the Tokyo Love Story, that TV drama, totally swept Japanese TV by storm. That's the case according to my mom, but it's just a super popular TV drama. And you just turn on Japanese TV in the 1990s, you can realize that everything is just a love story. Love story after another. It just feels like Japan is in love in that period. This song
Yeah,
is...
and it goes to show how one medium of art can affect the popularity of another, and we'll allude to that later when we look at modern music.
Mm-hmm. And you just look at his song. It's so much more mellow in presentation and a lot softer. The use of, bronze instrument is more or less faded out in favor of just simple guitar and piano, and things are a lot smaller in scale in terms of just like the atmosphere,
Yeah, it definitely varies by artist, but it's definitely not as bombastic as a song from the 80s with those like sweeping, overbearing synths. Maybe
Mhm.
overbearing to some. I like them, but you can definitely tell this is going for a more warm, intimate tone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot less open road, but just like an intimate, closer, small, and in scale kind of feel. And for the songs as well, I have the entire album downloaded, and from like a regular, like a listener kind of view, I go through the entire album, and then it feels a lot less conceptual album. At this point, it's more of like a single. It's created more for individual music pieces for, I don't know, like TV or single performances, because that is taking over the album sales, like in general. Like the albums are fading out and going out of fashion
Hmm.
at this point. And and I sort of want to allude it to the economy, not 100% accurate, but the economy sort of crashed from the 90s. It just totally bombed during the 90s,
Yeah,
and
they call the 80s the bubble economy for a reason.
yeah, the housing market just boom, just disappeared. Like the reminiscence of the 80s, it still widely exists in this song, but the presentation just turned all the way down, and atmosphere really sort of went from that endless future kind of feel to just enjoying the moment, like having a very nice, basically a romance, right? Enjoying the moment, enjoy that romance rather than just think about the future and driving down the open road. It's a lot less much on a big picture, but more on the personal topics. It really represents this sort of post-crash economy where everyone want to take their mind off the future for, just a bit and then enjoy the moment,
Exactly. Great way of putting it.
Yep. And then we are going through the 90s, and then now we are going to the 2000s. That's the year I'm born. Not 2001, but whatever. Let's move on to the 2000s. First, we're gonna do something weird. Let's take a quick detour and take a quick look at a one-hit wonder. Let's dive into this weird song. Very weird one. It's Yatta by Hapatai. That means hooray by the Leaf Soldiers. Yeah, it sounds as weird as it is. You look at the music video, you'll begin to question your life. Don't worry. Let's just take a look at it.
We are the world. We
I don't think there's a song that better represents being grateful for what you have than that.
Yep. This is totally off topic. You know, I'm sorry for laughing in the middle. I think you can hear that, but I'm not sure. It's not like it's very apparent that this one song is not made by musicians, but actually it's by five very popular Japanese comedians. It's an wait, I think 6. Oh shit, it's 6. It's an absolute one-hit wonder. It got very popular very quick because it's extremely entertaining, extremely energetic, and very simple lyrics. It's just a reminiscent of the parody of the boy bands of the time, and you know, with just people wearing leaves basically. And the lyrics is more about the socioeconomic problems about the Asian economic crisis in the late 1990s and early noughties, and about how everything's gotta be alright, right? Like, Japan is probably at its lowest point right now. It just, you know, you need that really morale boost more than ever, right?
Kidding.
It's just the premise of how if someone can just wear a leaf and be happy, how can you not? You just have to be thankful, as you were saying. Yeah, this is the encouragement that Japanese people urgently needs. Oh, this song is just weird. I have to include this because it's just so good, you know. Oh, but it comes about time that we are at the halfway point. So maybe I need to take a water break, mostly. So maybe we can pick that up in just a moment. Alright, welcome back. That was a pretty uneventful water break, to be honest. Okay.
Oh, I'd hope so.
Yeah, I don't want a water break to be eventful. So, yeah. We're still in 2000s right now. We have another song to show because that previous one, that was an anomaly. Mind you, that was an anomaly of that kind of era. What is really popular in the 2000s is the idol bands. Like, let's just say AKB48, right? You probably don't, you don't know any of their songs, but you probably have heard of them. It just basically, it's the definition of an idol band. It's basically someone asking some other person, basically the producer, what's better than one superstar? 48 of them, of course. And that's exactly what they did. They have 48 superstars on the stage, all singing at once. So this is a sort of the superstar culture I'm talking about. So now, let's take a look of what we have next. It is AKB48, Sakura no Hanabira Tachi. Oh, basically it's the petal of a sakura. Let's take a listen.
桜の花びらたちが咲く して泣いたことあったね悩んだ日がなぜか懐かしい喜びも悲しみも振り向けば道のりどんな時も一人じゃなかった卒業写真の中私は微笑んで過ぎる季節見送りたいさよなら涙の花びらたちがハラハラこの頬を流れ落ちて歩き出す青い空を見上げ大きく深呼吸しながら涙の花びらたちがハラハラ思い出のその分だけ美しく目の前の大人の階段一緒に登って手を振ろう桜の花びらたちが咲く頃どこかで希望の鐘が鳴り響く私たちに明日の自由と勇気をくれるわ桜の花びらたちが咲く頃どこかで誰かがきっと祈ってる新しい世界のドアを自分のその手で開くこと涙の花びらたちがハラハラこの頬を流れ落ちて歩き出す青い空を見上げ大きく深呼吸しながら涙の花びらたちがハラハラ思い出のその分だけ美しく目の前の大人の階段一緒に登って手を振ろう
All right.
Funny how they start with golf clapping. It's very strange to kind of hear that, coming from someone who's more used to looking at Western performances where the crowd just goes nuts. Sometimes during the performance, you can't even hear the friggin' music. That's another story.
Well, the Japanese people, they really want to hear the music, and they're very polite. You see? Oh man.
Yes.
So you do have to pardon me right here though, because I really both of us actually aren't very into this era of Japanese music, so I really cannot say too much about it. But I think this song is actually originally from 2016, and this version I think is a 2006, and this is a 2016 version where it's like a 10-year anniversary, where I think there's like it's basically a farewell ceremony for like a few of their crewmates, because the 48 people within the band, they sort of have to come and go. And yeah, this is one of those kind of time. And this kind of music really can show you the sort of the culture of just like perfection. Everything is so perfect, and it gives like the fan basically a first world problem on liking which idol. Like, which idol is your favorite? It shows that cuteness culture is taking over, man.
Yeah, and I just want to take a moment too to just appreciate how difficult it must be to get 48 people to sing, like,
basically in just harmony.
Yeah,
man.
in sync. like yeah, on beat, so closely together.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'm not used to it because my experience comes down to middle school and high school choirs, where they can't even sing on key. But uh, it's amazing to see that many people just so well coordinated.
Yeah, these, you have to really appreciate how much work that these, super idols really put into, training and every day and keeping just everything in check. It's really nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking for all of those people to just they have to be perfect basically all the time when they're on stage and all the time they're off stage. So they have to keep their image and you have to just applaud to that, man. That is just probably the hardest thing for someone to do. That's just difficult. I don't know what to say, but man, these kind of
Yeah, it's
idols they
super
took
hard.
so much. But and then I have to talk about some sort of like reflection to the Japanese like society now. But I do apologize. It's not gonna be positive. I always say the musical style of these kind of music is usually highly fantasy like like if it feels like a fantasy in presentation, and I'll be honest, it's pretty disconnected from reality because in the early 2000s is where the economy is really the worst. People really need to escape from one another. And in an attempt for some people to try to salvage this, economy, other wants to escape from this absolute pressure pot of overstressed workers and basically social expectations. This is a pressure outlet. You know, as I was saying, what's better than one superstar? 48 of them, alright?
Hmm.
Mm,
No kidding.
no kidding, man. Oh. Well, now we're moving on to the 2010s. This is sort of my expertise area. Oh man, I went through all of this. This is basically my childhood. And, right now, it's like, oh, this is 2010s. In the 2010s, there has been like a new sort of music type that has been rising. That's basically centered around the youth making music. Like the youth usually will make music with something that the Japanese will call the Vocaloid, which is basically a voice synthesizer. And the youth who make them basically have no musical background, or they're just probably a high school student or college student like you and me, meaning that they're
And
just. Oh yeah, yeah. You go ahead.
I want to add too those Vocaloids, right? We call them voice synthesizers, but the actual voice that's singing when you hear these songs is entirely synthetic. It's not a person. It's a computer program that's kind of been put together by some nerd in a basement.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you know what's the best? It's an anime
Oh yeah.
girl as a front cover, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what this means is that basically, if I was to download Vocaloid, like the application right now, I can sit in front of my computer and just finish a song from start to end. And there's really no sort of nothing expensive is required to make the song anymore. You just have to have a computer, which basically everyone have, and then just a software. It's literally dumbing down everything so that it's so accessible, and then the youth just start using that kind of software and then sort of creating music, and that just means so many more new ideas. As I usually say about the Vocaloid scene is that the only consistency within the Vocaloid scene is the inconsistency. There's just so many people creating so many different type of song at once. There's like the Japanese sort of pop idol, the continuation of that, but in like sort of Vocaloid form. But man, there are so many other, and I want to talk about the part of so many other more today. Those.
Now, I might add too, there's one consistency within the Vocaloid community.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the fact that they use Vocaloid.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. You go ahead, dude.
No, I'm pulling your leg.
All right. Oh man, the consistency of Vocaloid. Basically, you have like one singer. Basically, a lot of people like to refer her as the only princess. I don't understand that at all, but She is called Hatsune Miku, and basically it's that OG voice in any sort of song that you're gonna hear from now on. It is
Yeah.
not gonna sound very natural, but you have to sort of take into consideration that this is literally probably just one person sitting in front of a computer for maybe a few hours, putting together this one song, and then posting it on YouTube. That's basically what it is. Or actually, they post it on Nico Nico, which is like like a Japanese YouTube. Oh man, and I really like this like scene because it really allows the timid Japanese youth generation to speak up for themselves, because that's really uncommon within the sort of old kind of music community where everyone sort of have like a very big production team, and then everyone is really, you know, market oriented in the past, or basically any other time. Music has always been a big industry, big, you know, a money pot for a lot of things to monetize, but this is different. This is just people having fun. And, you know, for every good sort of song from this, you have like maybe 10,000 not very good songs. So I'm going to pluck out all the best today. I'm going to pluck out all the weirdest and all the best, man. So this first one, oh man, this one is going to be weird. Just like downright weird. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to strike you with that first impression with just the music video, man. So this song is called Aishite, meaning love me. And it's by an artist called Kikuo. Take a listen.
「
is it too late for an ellipticy warning?
Probably. Well,
Oh well, if someone's dancing on the floor with foam coming out of their mouth, please take him to the hospital because this is intense. Oh man.
also,
Oh.
I didn't. Not my fault.
Not my fault. Totally not my fault. If you see someone dancing on the floor, please take him to the hospital right now. Anyways, Kikuo is he is pretty much known for the nightmarish presentation and extremely overt expression of basically depression and bullying. This song is about abusive parents and bullying, and I don't think you need to understand the lyrics to understand why it is that. It's extremely obvious.
Yeah, you can tell too. You see the shift as we've been looking through these various pop songs throughout the decades. There's the shift from just pure focus on music to more of a multimedia performance, and it's extremely overt here, where just as much effort was put into this stylistic music video as uh, as there was in the song.
Yeah, definitely. And also, at this kind of era, I'm not gonna claim that everything is like this, but a lot of the emphasis of this kind of music presentation is put on basically conveying a message. It's more of conveying a message over sort of just having an enjoyable song, and this definitely get the message across. It definitely makes you feel really claustrophobic, and it's meant to make you feel uncomfortable, and it certainly does that.
Hmm.
And the atmosphere, oh, it's just so grim and dark, and you know, this is perfectly in representation. You know why I chose the song now, right? This is a perfect representation of the 2010s. Basically, this is representative of the really surreally high expectation on the youth generation to recreate that 80s economy miracle. And they they call this generation, the newer generation, the lost generation, and the people who doesn't work, because they will put all the blame on the younger generation for not having that same success, even though they just basically glaring over the problem that 80s economic, like that miracle, is not recreatable. It's not recreatable by anyone. So that kind of stress has just been accumulating since the 1990s, and it is just basically crushed the Japanese younger generation. The pressure, the high suicide rate, it created that sort of sense of, appreciation for the twisted beauty and the constant scene, like the theme of mental illness within these kind of songs. It really happens a lot in this kind of songs. I'm not just picking one song that is out of maybe 10,000 normal songs. This is actually a very common theme, like within the Vocaloid music. And this is frankly quite scary, if you wanted to ask me. Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh well. Now we sort of went through that kind of hell, and then let's take a stark 180 turn in the presentation. Do you think you're ready?
Let's see it.
So this song is Altos Preset. Let's listen.
今ならしかねいのはプリセットあなたを奇跡へ導くプリセット話かいかい鳴らされたプリセット私とあなたをつないだプリセット街に組み込まれた君はプリセット明るい私の家庭はプリセットリセット灰の燃やせないセルフオートネット今日は 広がるいびつなプリセット子供の心をつかんだプリセット悩み解いたそのパズルはプリセット命の路線が描いたプリセットリセットサラウンドの波はピクセルの波が真夜中すぐのる君のかけら探してランダムに流れる君の選んだ音へ導かれるようには橋の中を飛んだ
All right, that was Preset by Altos. How does it? How does
Again,
it feel?
using that Hatsune Miku voice.
Yeah,
One thing
yeah.
I find really amazing about that technology, I forget who said it, but a big part of music and specifically like songs is about sort of conveying the raw emotion behind whatever the artist is thinking, right? And I think that it's just kind of incredible how they're able to take this computer program and make it perform and act in such a way that can
Mhm.
convey emotion
Yeah.
convincingly.
You almost forget that it just, I want to say it again, it's just one person behind one laptop, and that's all it takes. That lowers the bar of musical production so, to such a really incredible level that everybody have a chance to, express their voice in the form of music. It's beautiful. And, this song, I said it's like a 180 degrees sharp turn because, this song, it just feels a lot more mellow and then happy. You can sort of feel that kind of thing, right? It just feels like a jolly parade onto like some sort of future. It feels that way, right?
Exactly.
It's not just
Yeah.
me, right? But here's the thing. The lyrics. If you've been looking at a video, I mean, you can probably, there's like a bunch of like, there's English lyrics down below as well. If you can understand it, you can sort of begin to see the sense of the intensive and second layer of social criticism underneath. This song actually is created sort of, in my opinion, aimed to criticize and illustrate a preset of the Japanese society and the model minority theorem, where everyone has to be perfect and working their part. Everybody have a preset of a family. Like you have a perfect father, you have the perfect like mother, you have like 3 child, you have a big house, you have 2 cars. That's the American way, right? You see the in the advertisements. You see?
Hmm.
Yeah, but that kind of model minority theory, it's just putting pressure on the people for not being good enough or not being perfect in the monotonous and drab society they live under. The presentation really illustrates something else. It shows a vastly different Japanese society on the surface and on the inside. Well, the surface is basically the kind side where, if you're a tourist, you visit Japan and everything is so in order, everything is so clean, and everyone is so polite. But the underneath, you can sort of begin to sense that, pressure and just basically what that kind of things had done to the society, especially to the younger generation. And that is perfectly demonstrated by the juxtaposition of the really jolly march and some really thought-provoking lyrics. Really goes to show, Japan has a lot more to show than just a mere surface, eh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. And then we're moving on from 2010s, and then we're moving on to the present, the 2020s. You'll see why I included things from 2010s. I'm not gonna say like from the 2010s, the pop idol culture still moves on, but the sort of the Vocaloid, the idea of that, it's gaining popularity, and it absolutely exploded in the late 1910s and early 2020s. And as you will see, the modern J-pop scene, the Japanese pop scene, is absolutely taken over by the indie musicians. Yorushika, um, Kenshi Yonezu, Yorushika, I already said that. Oh my god, I don't even know how to say it. What is it? Yoasobi. They're all they all used to be just like indie music producers, but they have taken a turn and then hop on to mainstream Japanese music. And that I'm a part of. I feel proud for being a part of that. I was there when Yurushiga have like 4-digit subscribers, and I see it grow into almost 3 million right now. Like, that feeling is fantastic.
Yeah, you see the youth as time goes on, leveraging technology to um, either express themselves in music in ways that haven't been done
Mm-hmm.
before, or to simply just express themselves. Period, because they have tools such that they can act as a one-man studio. They don't have to
Mm.
rely on long-standing people such as Tatsuru Yamashita um,
Mm-hmm.
Omori Takeuchi or any other artists. They can do it all themselves with the help of it's in their computers.
Mm. I mean, it's now taken more of a funny turn again because like the sort of the indie sort of feel with the Vocaloid. I mean, those people, they were in their high schools. Now it's been 10 years. They've grown up. And then they grown up into like actual musicians. So they actually have like a real studio and they have like a real, they have like a real team behind them. And what I love about it is that they will usually shift their tone a little bit into like the more mature side of things, but they will keep most of their message, all right? And let's just take a listen. Like, there's nothing more. Like, one song can say something more than 1,000 words. So let's just take a listen of our first song. I'm gonna play Keshi Yonezu Lemon.
夢ならばどれほど良かったでしょう未だにあなたのことを夢に見る忘れたものを取りに帰るように古びた思い出の誇りを払う戻らない幸せがあることを最後にあなたが教えてくれた言えずに隠してた暗い過去もあなたがいなきゃ永遠に暗いままきっともうこれ以上傷つくことなどありはしないと分かっているあの日の悲しみさえあの日の苦しみさえその全てを愛してたあなたと共に胸に残り離れない苦いレモンの匂い雨が降り止むまでは帰れない今でもあなたは私の光暗闇であなたの背をなぞったその輪郭を鮮明に覚えている受け止めきれないものと出会うたび溢れてやまないのは涙だけ何をしていたの何を見ていたの私の知らない横顔でどこかであなたが今私と同じような 悲しみさえあの日の苦しみさえその全てを愛してたあなたと共に胸に残り離れない苦いはものに雨が降り止むまでは帰れない切り分けた果実の片方のように今でもあなたは私の光
Alright, that was Lemon by Keiichi Yonezu.
A great piece. So this was the man who used to produce Vocaloid songs, right?
He used to be known as Hachi from the Vocaloid community, and basically, he's been extremely popular since like the 20 like I think it was he started off like 2009 and then goes all the way to 2016 until like he sort of faded out of Vocaloid scene and then into a basically a J-pop superstar. He is basically that spokesperson of the modern J-pop scene. You see the amount of views that the music video have? Do you see that? It's just wicked.
Huge.
It's absolutely wicked. And the atmosphere of his music, it feels the immediate thing I want to say is it feels matured. It feels immediately very the use of instrument is very rock like, and then with a personal twist to it. I don't really know how to explain it in any sort of quantifiable way, but I just really feel like it's a continuation of what we previously said about like the 2010s, where the artists are using the Vocaloids as like just a medium where they want to convey a certain scene, like a theme. This song is actually wait. So this song, you can definitely feel the sort of depressing tone, and this song is actually about commemorating the one who has passed away for him, because I think the reason behind he creating the song is I think one of his very important, like, I don't know, it was relative or someone he loved passed away recently, and it is just, but it feels definitely that way, that he wants to convey more of an emotion in their musical pieces, and the art style of the music video as well. It's absolutely beautiful, but in a depressing way. You can sort of feel that, this sort of feeling of just that haziness within the society still exists. The tropes, societal tropes, is still very commonly seen now as the society, I have to say, really didn't change at all since the early 2000s. Same expectation, same suicide rate, same pressure. There's always been a saying, I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but it's that, why like the reason that British music are always so depressing, it's because it's always raining there. I feel like it's a really good, representation of the Japanese, like the music as well. It's sort of depressing because it's not always raining in Japan, but this is like it just feels like in a society it's always just very hazy. This feels like the lack of a target, because you have like a unachievable goal standing right there where everybody wants you to achieve that, but it's not possible. So a lot of the younger generation just begin to lose sort of their like their way of going forward. It's very sad as a whole, but reflected from the song, you sort of can feel that artistic beauty of just how should I say it? The beauty of the tragedy of this current kind of feel within the society. The
Great
sort
way
of
of putting it.
yeah, the way I'm putting it, it might sound a little bit weird, but if you take a few more listens to some of his different other songs, actually, oh, like, it's not just this song that is very depressing. Like, all of their songs have the similar premise, and that is absolutely just basically sets the perfect tone for sort of what the society was right now. It's very sad, to be honest. Oh man, I don't want to end on a low note, but here we are. We are not done yet. We have one final song, and this is that one final song that we're gonna pick up the note, and then we are gonna get, we're gonna make everything all right again. So the old saying goes, if you don't understand the lyrics, life is always fine. We can just all enjoy the song in all of its glory. Let's take a listen to this final song we're gonna have. Yep, I know we went over time a little bit, but I hope you enjoyed the show. And this is the last song, Yorushika Ite, and that means say it in English.
言ってきっと人生最後の日を前に思うのなら全部言いたくなくてすけどいつか人生最後の日君がいないこともっともっともっともっとちゃんと言って私実は分かってるのもう君が言ったことねわからずやって言うんだろうね忘れたいんだけどもっとちゃんと言ってよ忘れないよメモにしてよ明日10時にホームで待ち合わせとかしようそして人生最後の日君が見えるのならきっと人生最後の日も